Welcome to Table Talk. I'm your host, Greg Perez, and today I have with me Daniel Pearson. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself before we go into this big tirade of information?
I'm 45 years old. I'm a reporter at the Canby Herald, also write for the Malala Pioneer and Portland Tribune, University of Oregon graduate, and I also hold a master's degree in marketing.
Oh, marketing. You know, we're going to touch on some of that today, too. And what we're going to talk about today is CTV5, news media, production, and so forth. And we want to sort of get an idea of what we can do to bring this into the community and open it up and have the community get involved and partake in production and learning of the equipment and so forth. So just off the top of your head right now, Daniel, what do you see and what would you like to see changed in CTV5 and marketing and making this a better place for the community?
Sure. Well, I think that CTV5, one of the first things they could do is do a harder push to the community to make the community more aware that, first of all, that it's here, but second of all the great equipment that's here. I mean, this is a professional, high-grade, high-end studio, and the public can use it. I'm not sure exactly what the rules are, but
we do a checkout
it's
system.
Free of charge, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's just a matter of if you've got an idea for a show, bring the script in and talk to a producer and try to get it moving forward. But I would love to see CTV5 do more of a push to the community to pull more people in, if that makes sense.
It does, and I'd like to see the library get involved in producing for themselves a lot of programs that are held at the library itself. Some of the equipment we have here, Daniel, and you can question me on it, and I can say yay or nay, but I do know that we probably have over $75,000, if not more, of technical equipment to include cameras, mics, PA systems, large screens to put in the park, and so forth, that are rentable for the community if they care to do so. So, in your line of business, what have you seen in the way of marketing on what we could do different to get our community involved?
Well, I would say the first thing you need to do is come up with a solid marketing plan.
Okay.
Really study what's out there, what's available, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. An old-fashioned SWOT analysis.
So marketing right off the bat. Find out what we have.
Develop a solid marketing plan.
Okay. Now, the marketing plan, who are we marketing to? The community, businesses, or showing the businesses?
Well, that's what will come out in the plan.
Okay.
You'll know exactly who, and there's likely to be overlapping segments of the local population. So.
Right. Now.
But it's the same as a city doing a strategic plan or the adult center doing a strategic plan.
Okay.
It's just a way to take inventory of what you have.
Right.
Really clearly understand what the market is and what your best opportunities are for moving forward.
Okay. On the marketing plan, for instance, correct me if I'm wrong, the Dahlia Festival. Would that be a marketing spectrum or spot that we'd want to concentrate on during the year?
Well, that would be part of when you're saying, when you're taking an inventory of what we have here in town.
Okay, that would be part of the inventory.
The local festivals that happen, that
right.
would be one point that would be included in that overall plan.
Okay, that's part of the big marketing plan. So
like
you identify
how to market to the tourist events that are here.
Right. And one thing I'd like to see during the tourist events, to include the Canby Herald, is how each business can tie in to a main event, to where there's 10% off or come by and this happens and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody ties in that way. Everybody's a winner.
Reciprocal marketing.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the word I was trying to think of, reciprocal marketing. And so the marketing portion is done. Now, let me jump to another topic. Topics. What type of stories do you think would be an interest, your own personal opinion, of course, to CTV5?
Well, I think that it should be
Other than our local government, our education,
right.
and
Other than those things.
other than those things.
Well, then you just want to find local people that have an interesting story to tell.
So do we reach out to them via social media and find out what they're looking for, what they'd like to see?
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
And what would be another way?
Well, there's direct mail.
Okay.
There's old-fashioned networking, just getting to know people face to face.
Go door to door, knock to them, talk to them, and so forth. And that's interesting. I'd really like to see some interesting topics, which would be politics right now.
One would be tourism right now.
One would be tourism is probably
maybe
number
not,
one.
Maybe not necessarily Macon can be a spot where people stay for a week or something, but we're definitely a great day trip down from Portland.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot to do here in a day. If we could focus on bringing more retail in, like restaurants and places where people can actually go and hang out for a bit, I think we'd have a much bigger draw and be much more valuable to the region.
Right. And tourism is a big thing that Canby is working on now. We both know that. I understand that the Chamber of Commerce and also the City Council, they're all working on that right now, tourism along with Clackamas County. And that's a thing that's going to be, it's a vision right now, but we need to prepare for the future because it's going to be our time when that happens. And I think after they finish that city block, before they finish the city block, I already foresee people looking at business opportunities in town to capitalize off that big global money
And they
spot.
are.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they are, and they're going to. And that's another topic we'll get to another time, and that's how to open up a small business. But in another sector, let's say outside of Canby, public broadcasting has changed in a way that they're doing something entirely different. Can you briefly kind of tell me what you have read or heard about recently? I think it was the last 2 or 3 weeks that they're doing in Portland. The change.
Are you talking about the
Media change?
local public access channel?
Yes.
Well, they opened it up to the public, and I think it's what Tony Gonzalez from CTV5 wants to see happen here. It's open up for the public so people can come in now and use the recording studio, use the equipment to make a television program, but it's just essentially that.
Yeah, and one thing that they
And they teach classes, they teach you how to use the equipment, but they give you ideas too on how to actually write a song or how to actually write a script.
and there's equipment here to do that.
Right.
The editing is an integral part of this, and it kind of takes a little bit of time, but once a person gets the hang of it, it becomes fun because then you can add other photos, you can add music. It's just numerous things to do, and it's exciting, and it's something I wish I could learn real quick, but it takes older person like myself a lot of time.
Well, and younger people too. It's going to take people time. People are going to have to invest at least 6 months into something, to a year before they really start to understand it. They say you have to spend 27,000 or 20,000 hours at something before you become a master at it.
Yeah, but we don't want to scare them off. But
Right.
we do have a couple of volunteers here in the studio, and that's Ken and Gregory, and they are real good with working with the public when they do come in here to teach them how to use the equipment and to produce a show. I myself like doing shows because it's fun and it's informational to the public of what we're doing and what's going on. So that's my forte, I guess. And so they also changed the name, instead of what they called it, the Public Broadcasting Studio or whatever, to Media Center. And just a change of the verbiage means what to you if somebody says, we're going to the Media Center to produce. So what does that mean to you? Because you're a lot younger than I am.
Well, it's a much more broad statement than saying it's a recording studio or it's a television studio.
Right.
Or a podcast center or something. It's sort of all encompassing.
Instead of just
kind of a
focusing-
generic term,
Right.
But it's
There's a lot. Well, that's a, let's see, media center is something of a new age.
They also call libraries media centers in colleges, so
Right.
I don't know if that would be the best term to brand for this, but that's what they did in Portland.
Right. And we want to be different, of course. We're going to do something different, and we'll bring it to the board and go from there. So by changing the name and working with the community to bring them in to educate them on this, it's a lot of fun for the community to show or share their lives or something they're passionate about. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people could make a TV show or a podcast or write music about anything they want, essentially. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a lot of censorship going on here.
No, no.
I mean, within reason, you don't want to write something really triple X rated, let's say.
Right, exactly.
It's something that you could play on the radio. So,
You know,
it doesn't have to be either, but
Right.
yeah.
Their own music at home. They can bring it, they can produce it here. One of the things that I thought about is going to one of the classic car individuals in town, and while they're working on their car, show their wares and what they're doing so people can understand what's actually put into these things. And it's just a hobby. So that would be one topic. And then photography could be somebody else's forte that they'd like to show on CTV5, and they can produce it over here and edit it and so forth. So what can the Canby Herald do with working together with CTV5? What can we do together to broaden this and get the community involved?
Well, I mean, other than promoting it, the people that do become involved, we could work closely with them and sort of nurture them and educate them and spur them along a little bit.
And you have a
inspire
Facebook
'em.
page, right?
Yeah, of course.
Canby Herald? Okay, and then that's something they don't know maybe, but Canby Herald has a Facebook page, and I think most of the events are all updated on daily or weekly or
Both.
both daily and weekly basis, and that's good. I like to see a social media updated constantly because then I'm more apt to go to it. So I think some of the things I've gotten from our little talk here is about marketing. Is the first thing we need to do. Marketing, inventory, what we have, and that way we can show what we can offer and then let them know what's available, classes, editing, photography, using the video cameras and shooting their own shows. They can come in here and practice. And who on your staff would like to come in? I'd like to have somebody from your staff come in and do a talk show with me and talk about social media or talk about the newspaper industry and how it's changing, or is it changing? That would be interesting because I think people want to know, and a lot of people don't know because they're not informed, I guess. Not everybody reads a newspaper, not everybody goes online either. So there's a kind of a balance there.
Well, and all people have heard for the last 17 years now is that the print media is failing.
Right.
It took a big hit, that's for sure. The internet, especially classified ads, those are gone now thanks to Craigslist. Things like that.
I go there all the time.
But I do on occasion too. But print media is actually it's coming back slowly, creeping back like the economy did, just slowly.
Right, because they're finding their way.
And it's kind of edgy now to have a paper because, to have your own reporters that you're actually sending out to ask questions, and they're putting their name on stories to prove that it's real news and not something made up from a Macedonian teen or something.
Right, I understand that. One of the other things that I noticed in the Portland, the general area where their change on their public broadcasting is they emphasized on fact checking. In college, where I was going last year, the year before, that was a big thing, fact checking. And there's more than one area to go to find out if the information put out there is true or not. Have you experienced that yourself?
Yeah.
And do you know of any of the sites that they go to?
For fact checking?
Yes.
Snopes.com, Snopes.com. That's probably the best one.
the best one. And then there are ones that deal with strictly politics,
Yeah, there's like PolitiFact.
PolitiFact. And then they're also rated, aren't they?
Yeah.
On 1, 2, 3, 4, who to check with first.
That's
and
right.
To balance it out. So it's not, if you read something or hear about something, I'm always, I don't doubt, trust and validate. Those are two things. So if I hear it, I read it, I'm going to fact check it. And that's just how I am. I'm wired that way now. I guess as I got older, it's a trust thing, but I need to validate it.
Well, a quick reminder is if you're trying to figure out if something you're reading is, in today's day and age, if it's real news and not fake news, and it's not sad, would it be, does it come from a reputable source? So, I mean, is it the New York Times? Is it the Washington Post? Is it NBC News? You know, someplace that you think would be trustable news to begin with.
Right.
Then the other is, do they use anonymous sources or do they quote their sources?
Other than just print it out.
Right. In some cases, there's you have to use an anonymous source because the person's leaking the information.
Like what's happening today.
Right, but you'll notice like it'll say a person close to the investigation that works for blah blah blah. They negotiate that title that's used for in lieu of the person's name to try to get it as close to the actual title they have as possible. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it does.
So yeah, there's those two things, and also just common sense. You know, does your gut tell you that
That can't be
that
true.
it seems right, or does something?
That
are
makes
there
sense.
red flags that pop up and say, I
Right.
don't know about that. So.
Yeah, let me check that out. So I don't think
And
we're
then
going to run
in
in.
lieu of all that, go to Snopes.com and it'll tell you if it's true or not.
Exactly. I had to use a lot of that on a term paper that I wrote and to prove to everybody in the class that I was producing something that was truthful and it wasn't made up. So, well, I'll tell you what. I've got some good information from you, Daniel, and about how we can make things change here and get the community involved in CTV5 and teach them step by step on how to do this. But we're looking for volunteers to come in and do their own show, edit their own show. They'll be taught how to do these things, and I think it's something that we'd rather do sooner than later. So we'll put it out on social media. I hope you put it out on your website, and we'll put it out on the other social media websites. And we're going to take a little, what's the word I want to use, poll, and see what people want to see. And then if a subject out there is interesting enough, somebody might be a subject matter expert in it and come and produce a show. So we can tie those two together, and I think that'd be a good idea. So Daniel, I want to thank you today for coming on the show.
Thanks
for
for
Table
having me.
Talk. And I'm Greg Perez, your host, and we'll see you next time at Table Talk.